All right, everybody, we are live. We are live. I'm going to make sure the stream is going here. Stream is going. Looks like Hados is in the chat. I see you, Hados. Thanks for stopping by. You're probably one of the only persons. I have the live chat set on members only. I'm going to start doing my weekly Bitcoin chart analysis, usually on a Monday morning my time, and I've kind of drawn I've I've I'm doing a chart analysis on bitcoinwisdom.io, and I got a somewhat larger platform. Thing is in here. Hi, how you doing, Thing? You like money? Yes, everybody likes money. Even I like money. Is the bottom in? That's the question. Um, just from the start, just to get go, I do think we have the first signal of the bottom. It doesn't mean that it is the bottom. You never know when the bottom is because it's hindsight 2020. You know when the bottom after it happens. And of course, after it happens, it's kind of, I don't know, too late to buy at the bottom. But I will tell you why I think we are starting a bottom, at least the first signal of the bottom. Okay. I've got a nice chart here to work with instead of my phone. And I'm going to zoom in here. You're probably used to this view right here, but basically what I've done is I've drawn a line from the top. If you're wondering what I'm talking about Bitcoin chart analysis, not altcoins, not any of these other coins, just Bitcoin. And let me see here. Let me actually, I think there's a little. I'll open it up in another map, another tab here. Yeah, you can see all the different cryptocurrencies. I don't even bother with the other ones. Most of them are probably scams, or they will not perform as well as Bitcoin, in my opinion, in the long run. That's just my honest opinion. But you can see the yearly that is starting to. Oh, didn't mean to do that. You can see the yearly here. Oh, you can see the yearly. Hold on, I gotta change my settings here. I want it to display my mouse. Property, display cursor. There we go. All right, so you see that my cursor here. You see the yearly starting to decrease, almost back down to a reasonable level instead of, like, 80%. It's going down. Last 30 days are starting to increase. The most telling sign is actually the chart itself. Right here, this particular, in particular, this candlestick, these three candlesticks. I'm on a weekly. I look at the weekly. These three candlesticks are basically the first signal that we're almost at the bottom. And I'll tell you why, because I'm going to look at some past chart analysis. Now, I want to warn you, because it happened in the past doesn't mean it's going to happen in the future, but it's happened so far. So it's been happening every halvening, and the halvening is coming up basically next year. So when you get up to the halvening, you're going to see a couple things. You're going to see a expectation of supply shortage. A lot of it's also psychological, because people see this has been happening in the past, and so they will buy into the future. That's kind of the thing that people do. So if you look here, the two lines here, the 10 period average, or no, this is the 30 period average, and this is the 10 period average, 10 candlestick average, 30 candlestick average. And you see they're getting really close. They're getting to the point where it's crossing over. That's still an early signal. It still has not crossed over. It's on a weekly chart, so it's going to take a little bit longer. But the fact that the price has moved above the 30 period average and is now above the 30 period average. The candlestick is actually finished well above and has stayed above this 30 period, this yellow line. So that tells me that it's the first signal of bottoming. So I'm going to zoom out so you get a retrospective look at how a bull market is done in cryptocurrency. I'm talking about Bitcoin in particular. Investing, Ado says investing is gambling. It is. But what I've noticed, if you look at the overall, if you look at it overall, I'm going to pull back. It it is gambling, but if you hold, I'm a strong believer of hodling. That means hodling does not mean hold on for dear life. Hodling is a drunk person who was basically on a forum who misspelled hold. He's gonna hold. He spelled it wrong. He spelled it hodl, HOLD, right? Hold, oh HOLHODL, hodl. So that's where hodling comes from. If you hold and do not sell based on panic selling, or don't buy during FOMO, just buy when you feel comfortable buying, and you hold on to it long enough, you will make a return. I'm pretty sure of it, because if you look at the history, and this is, let me see, Bitcoin wasn't even started. This says 2013. It was actually started a little bit before this time period, the because it had no value whatsoever. But if you're looking at 1 cent, here it is at 1 cent right here at the bottom edge, left bottom edge, 1 cent to its most recent all-time high, which is almost at 69,000. It's a big return for the gamble if you were in the beginning, you know. So, but let me just go back to the to this particular right here, this particular run that lasted from what, about 2017 right here, and then it comes down, and then the next bull run right here, which is 2021. So this crash, and then the bull run. So I'm going to focus on that, okay? Just to give you, and if you notice when I slide the chart, it adjusts because the candlestick sizes are massive. So it's going to readjust. See, charts can be very misleading because they readjust in size. So you see that. So I'm just going to go right here, and you're going to see you're going to see this repeatedly. Happens about every 4 years. That's the key thing. Happens during the halvening, around right before or around the time of the halvening. Happens all the time. So if you look here, you'll see the run up, and I'll show you the run up from this one too. There we go. Look at that. Look how the chart all of a sudden changes, and looks familiar again. It looks familiar. It's just that you can't see it when you look at the chart because it resizes. So this is, when was this? This was back in 2013. Yeah, 2013. The run up to 1,000. I remember that. I was there. I witnessed it. And then the crash. Before that, oh, it doesn't even go back further than that. That's all it goes back. There was actually even more. There's actually even more. I think the run up to $300, and then the crash after that. It looks very similar. If you look at the chart, it looks very similar in that way. They both have a very underlying common theme here. That underlying common theme is, if you look at this particular point right here, you'll notice that you'll get lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, and then it kind of evens out. It almost looks like it's going to dip down further, but then it evens out. If you look at the two lines, they almost reach, and you see the price move above this 30 period average. It bounces and bounces. It takes usually one more dip, you know, it usually takes one more dip. That's why you have to have a strong hand. You have to have a focus of hodling, holding, because you have to realize it is gonna. I mean, eventually it will go back up. It has so far. Now I have to be careful in saying that because this is what it's done in the past. But just because it's done it in the past doesn't mean it's going to do it in the future. I realize that. But if history repeats itself and the way Bitcoin is set up to be half the supply of Bitcoin, the new supply of Bitcoins that's being mined, it's going to go to half. So ideally, the price should go up in theory. And also, there's a psychological, all right, there's a psychological effect here that people see this coming about every 4 years, so they get into it. They go crazy. They go crazy and they start buying. So there's a psychological thing. That's why you see the price shoot up. You shoot up, shoots up. You're going to see more of it shooting up, shooting up, shooting up. Look what happened. And it goes up to 20,000, almost 20,000. You see the pattern again. Right about here. You see the pattern again. A little different in the pattern, a little different in the price action and timing, but very similar in what it does. That was the all-time high. You'll see the two lines cross over, then this is the crash, and then you'll see a large spike. The price goes up. This time the two lines crossed over. It looked like it was going to, but it doesn't. Crashes. It took a while. This took a while. This took a little bit longer on the time frame. Crashes. Back out a little, then goes crazy, goes bonkers, right? So you see the same kind of scenario here, where you'll see the two averages, how they cross over, and me personally, that's all I look at is just these two averages. They tend to tell more than any oscillator or any other indicator. Goes up, all-time high, but this was a little different. It hit an all-time high, crashed, and made another all-time high. This is a little different, but same thing. Goes up, all-time high, and now this is where we are, everybody. This is where we are. So I'm not saying we're at the bottom. Okay, we're not at the bottom, but we are essentially have the first signal to the bottom. Essentially, it's the first signal to the bottom. So this is kind of what I look for. I look for the price action to move above the 30 period moving average. I think it's weighted or estimated. And then the 10 period moving average to cross over, right? So it inverts. So you've gone from a downtrend to a possible uptrend. And there's also another thing I do when I look at these, and it doesn't mean that I'm right. Okay, I'm just making a judgment, an opinion based on my experience watching Bitcoin charts, especially on Bitcoin Wisdom, although this is different than Bitcoin Wisdom. This is Bitcoin IO. Bitcoin Wisdom is dead. But another thing I do is what you also notice is I'm gonna do this on this one. This is the fan draw Fibonacci fans. Fibonacci is a joke, but for some reason it seems to work. Okay, so I'm gonna draw this line, and I'm gonna draw this line to my original, right? I'm gonna come over here, and I'm gonna snap it onto the original line. You see right there's the original line right here. I'm gonna snap it on here. This is the first line you see before it broke out, bounced down, almost touched this trend line, goes sideways, and then breaks up. So I'm going to draw the Fibonacci line because some reason it just works out this way. I'm going to draw it on top of this, And what's going to happen is basically you're going to get like a fan, trending fan, or whatever this is. So what's most likely going to happen as it goes sideways, it's going to most likely hit around this area. It doesn't hit perfectly, but it's going to hit around this area, go back down, most likely follow this trend, break up, hit around, follow this, or break out, and then it'll just keep hitting through these different fan areas or these trend lines. You'll probably start redrawing trend lines, and I'll show you an example. I'll go into the past, and you'll kind of see something similar. Okay, you'll see something similar. How do I delete this? Oh, let me see here. Okay, delete. All right. So I'm going to draw this line again. And what I like about trading, I don't trade Bitcoin. I have no skin in the game. But what I like about it is it's somewhat very predictable. I find the chart analysis of Bitcoin in particular to be very easy to do. There's nothing complicated. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to subscribe to someone's newsletter. You just have to look at the chart, and it will become obvious to you if you are very experienced and you've been watching this for a while. So I'm going to draw that line, and let's go to the previous. Let's go to the previous. Okay, so this is the previous what happened. All right, I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to draw some fans. Should it be this fan? Now let's see here. I'm going to draw this fan right here like that. So when people looked at it, it looked like this essentially. This is essentially what we're kind of looking at right now. So a timeline may be different. It might be this one, could be a different one. If I draw that same fan, look at that. Now I'm not saying this is going to happen all the time, but you can see how the lines, they're represented like this. You see it goes up, kind of comes down, goes up, kind of comes down, breaks sideways, peaks up at this. You see this candlestick in particular, it hit up, then comes back down, follows it, bounces off of this trend line, goes sideways, and once it breaks out of this one, then it really starts taking off. Kind of starts really taking off here. This is when the bull market, in my opinion, really started. This is when the bull market really started. This was the signal of the beginning of the bull market. This is the signal of the end of the bear market for the most part. And what you have is something like this. See, the timeline may be different, but how I'm able to kind of predict when I make my predictions. Now, I have no skin in the game. Okay, I'm not trading, but when I make my predictions, or when I see this, that's how I know the bull market's coming. And I also know when maybe the bear market is coming, based on certain things that just keep happening over and over again. That's why it's so easy, in my opinion, to trade Bitcoin in particular. I don't know about any other cryptocurrencies. I don't focus on any other. I just focus on one. And that's why it's so easy to see this coming for me. And if you have to have a different mindset and a philosophy if you're going to trade, at least the way I think people should trade. I'm not saying you should trade like this, but the belief should be you're looking for signals. All right, you're looking for potentially buy signals. I don't know if you ever want to sell, because every time everybody believes that they can sell at the top, which they never sell at the top, and they always believe they could always buy at the bottom. So they're selling at the top. They have a huge ton of cash, and for some reason they're gonna take this huge ton of cash that they were able to cash out. Which, just to let you know, you're never gonna be able to cash out at the top. it just doesn't happen. In your mind, in theory, in your fantasy, you believe that, but it's just never going to happen. And that somehow you're magically going to buy at the bottom. You don't know when the top happens until after it happens, and by then it's too late to cash out. You don't know when the bottom is until after it happens, and by then it's too late to buy at the bottom. So at best, you got this range in the middle where it's marginal. It's marginal, and you're taking a risk. You're gambling within a margin. Um, if you just simply bought and hodled, and just waited, I mean, like 5 years. If you waited 5 years, which is not even the life of this chart. Let's see, when did this chart start? Let's just go back here as far as I can go back, where it's a penny. What was Bitcoin worth back then? Did it even have a value? Is there any value here? Let me see. What is the price? Low, high. Okay, it's $100. $100, $99. Let's just say $100. Okay, on average, about $100 worth. Let me see. Right about here should be $100, right? Let me see. Where's the price? Okay, so I'm going to look at the high around this time frame, right around here. This time frame, right around here. What was the high? $1,000. All right, let's just say you bought $1,000 worth of Bitcoin now. It is worth $23,000. So if you just hodled, if you bought 10, let's say you bought 10, so you bought $10,000 worth. Let's just say that. Even with the market crash at the current price right now, what would that be? What price would that be? Let me see, 10. You would be right now at $231,000 richer in a period of, let's see, when was this? 2013 to what, 2023? So 7, 8, 9, 10, in 10 years. In 10 years on $10,000. That's, now we're at the bottom. If you were at the peak right here at 69,000, just on 10, that'd be $690,000 if you just bought 10, which you probably could have bought it for less than $1,000 during that time. In a period of what, 10 years? That's not bad. That's not bad. People bought a lot more than that. So anyways, I'm going to conclude this episode here. Thanks for everybody in the chat. I have the chat set for members only. I don't expect a lot of people to watch this, my usual fans live stream, because you all like to watch me play Roblox. We play games. I'm not really a gamer. I do have a Discord, but I'm not going to put it in here because mainly the Discord is for the gaming fans. But my point is, we are reaching the bottom. We are starting to reach the bottom. I bet if you just put your fan out, just do something like this, put your fan out, you could probably most likely see this is the beginning of the bottom right here. This is the beginning of the bottom. I don't know what the time frame is. That's the only thing I don't know, but I do know what the pattern is going to look like. It's going to look something like here, like you're seeing here, the first breakout. This is starting at the bottoming. It's going to come and probably hit along this line area. I don't know where. I don't know when exactly, but most likely it's going to follow this pattern, go back down, break out of here, go back up, maybe even spike up above it and then fall down and ride along this top area. It's going to do something like that, and then finally it's going to break out. And once it breaks out of this, which I usually give it 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 of these fan lines, Fibonacci fan lines. Yeah, draw Fibonacci fan. These are Fibonacci fan lines. It's either going to break out of it, it's going to like slide out of it, or it's going to do something. Eventually, over time, it's going to get out of this, and then when there's no more resistance, and we get closer to the halvening, which is, when is the halvening actually? I want to know when the next Bitcoin, Bitcoin halvening. March 28th, 2024. March 28th, 2024. What I'm saying is, now when is March 28th, 2024? Let me see, January, February, March. Here it is. March, this is the week of March 28th, right here. January, February, March. Right here. Right about March 28th. I'm trying to get the line up. Somewhere right around here. Right around. That's the halvening. It doesn't mean that it's going to spike up at the halvening. I think it typically starts going higher anywhere from 3 to 6 months before the halvening, because there's anticipation of low supply of Bitcoins coming into the market. There's also a lot of people know this already. So you're going to have a psychological effect. People are going to start buying before then, before the halvening, because they know that the bull market's coming. So most likely it's going to happen before then. I think it's going to happen around November, in this time frame area. So after it just goes up and down, it goes sideways, as slowly it goes sideways, it's going to just start breaking around right around November. It's going to start breaking up. It's going to start breaking around this time frame right here, around November. That's just my prediction. I could be wrong. But if you see the signals and you understand the game and how it's played, I think you'll come out on top, at least. Again, my strategy has always been huddle. If you huddle, you'll win every time. You'll win every time. Anyways, I'm going to conclude this episode. Thanks for watching, everybody. And I'll do this again next Monday. I'm going to get back into the weekly Bitcoin chart analysis. And hopefully you enjoy it. There are super thanks available if you see this on the replay. Memberships. I know typically most of my members are not for Bitcoin chart analysis, but if you do appreciate this, I appreciate you becoming a member. Silver member, $1. Gold members, about $5. If you're a super fan and you would like to direct me on what videos to make, I have a platinum member with very special privileges and perks. Until next time, everybody, I'll see you all later. Bye.